One of the most common things to happen to us humans is still shrouded in mystery to this day: dreams. Scientists have been trying to decode the meaning behind dreams, what causes them, and their frequency, etc. for years now. But there is still no conclusive proof to definitively answer any of these burning questions we may have. Why do I keep falling in my dreams? Why am I being chased all the time? Why am I seeing the strangest of circumstances unfold? Why does they just keep going down these rabbit holes? Okay, maybe not that last one, but hey, I do love me some mystery and geeking out on weird theories, so let's find out a little bit more about that today, shall we? The textbook definition of a dream is that it is a series of thoughts, images, and sensations occurring in a person's mind during sleep. But we all know that. Why do we dream in the first place? Well, the brain is actually still active while we are asleep. We normally feel refreshed and gain some clarity after a sleep or nap because the brain has basically done a sort of cleanup, if you will, of all the day's activities and the information it captured. Alright, this next bit is a little bit technical, so bear with me for a minute. Essentially, the parts of our brain known as the amygdala and hippocampus that are responsible for emotions, senses, and memories gets activated during this cleanup process. And our brain just tries to make some sense out of these impulses and signals. Think of it kind of like how AI is right now. When we ask it to generate an image, it is able to come up with something, but it could get some of the finer details wrong. There's a Danish artist who recently invented a new type of camera that doesn't have a lens, but is able to generate an image through AI of the surroundings by the inputs we as the user give it. This kind of rings a bell to how dreams work. Things make sense to us when we are awake because when these signals and impulses get triggered while conscious, we have the aid of our visual, auditory, and other senses to form a valid understanding of what we are experiencing. But when we receive these signals without any sensory input, the brain can end up creating these weird, unexplainable dreams that we sometimes get. This could also explain why we forget so many of our dreams, because there was a lack of consolidation of the information in it, a lack of attention and importance given to it, derived mainly from the fact that there is sometimes an absence of a proper narrative structure. Think of the complexity of organic chemistry that we learned in school. To me, it was just a bunch of garbled nonsense, and I found it incredibly tough to remember any of it. Capiche? Dreams are most vivid and memorable during the REM stage of sleep, and if we happen to wake up during a non-REM stage, or if we wake up while transitioning between stages, then it can be difficult to remember the contents of the dream. And the most practical reason why we forget dreams is also because when we wake up, we tend to straight away get busy with the day's activities and make little to no conscious effort in remembering the dreams. Now, a common confusion is understanding the subtle difference between our subconscious and our unconscious mind, and similarly whether these images generated during our dreams are surfacing from our suppressed or repressed thoughts. Suppression is the voluntary and deliberate act of trying to forget or not think about painful or unwanted thoughts. Repression is an involuntary process where unwanted impulses and thoughts get unconsciously pushed out of awareness. It's said that the more things you suppress, the more likely it becomes that you involuntarily repress things. The subconscious mind may not be in conscious awareness, but can be easily accessed through focus and attention. We subconsciously walk, eat, breathe, because we normally do not have to think of these. We just simply perform these functions, but with practices like meditation, where we specifically put in attention to our breathing, for example, we allow ourselves to be more intentional and hence raise overall mental awareness. The unconscious mind is not easily accessible and contains the type of content like repressed memories and unresolved conflicts and instinctual drives. So if you have suffered through some form of childhood trauma, for example, it may result in you behaving a certain way in certain situations without you even realizing why you were acting like that. So where does all this fit in the context of dreams? It's believed that dreams emerge from the unconscious realm of the mind because they often contain symbolic imagery, fragmented narratives, and emotional experiences that may reflect aspects of our unconscious thoughts, desires, fears, and unresolved issues. While we sleep, our unconscious mind is inactive, allowing the unconscious to express itself more freely through dreams. Going to therapy or keeping a dream journal can greatly improve our understanding of the unconscious mind and why we are the way we are. It helps us perceive things like we have never been able to before, because through these intense sessions can we then unlock the secrets hidden in the deep recesses of our minds. A couple of years ago, I had a module in college where we discussed dreams. Specifically, we were tasked with discussing one of the recurring dreams we get. It was a class of about 12 students, and when we were all done narrating each of our dreams, we tried to find some of the common themes across our dreams. Of course, the sample size is small, but the results were generally in line with what is considered fairly common for everyone. I'll put them up on screen here. Let me know in the comments below if these themes align with some of the recurring dreams you may have had. For that specific recurring dream of mine that I discussed with my classmates, the themes that stood out were being chased, familiar faces turning evil, seeing passageways and staircases, all while the dream was in muted colors. Also, when I say familiar faces, I mean they felt familiar in the dream, but they were unknown to me in real life. When I was coming up with the script for this video and doing research, I faced a bit of a writer's block and was struggling to get this flowing. Knowing how meditation is really beneficial for me in gaining clarity, I went ahead and did that. It was afternoon time and I had just had lunch a little while ago, and naturally the calm meditative state that I achieved lulled me into a nap. Believe it or not, I dreamed about the type of shots I might take for this video and imagined myself reenacting a common dream theme of abduction. So I dreamed of how I will record myself stuck in the boot of my car. I even imagined some of the angles I would have, but this only worked in the dream and would have been an incredibly tough shot to achieve in real life.
This was kind of the angle that I was thinking of, but it just clearly does not work.
The dream then jumped forward in time and proceeded to display another common dream theme: infidelity. But what's interesting is that I received a call from a person called Ajisa. Take note that I neither know anyone named Ajisa, nor is this a name I've even heard of before. But this person calls me up while I'm in the boot of my car and says to me how she caught me cheating on her. Even within the dream, I had no clue who this person was and knew I was being wrongly accused, and informed her how she must have gotten the wrong number. I woke up shortly after and was so fascinated by what had just happened that I absolutely knew I had to include this in my video. One thing led to another, and within a few hours, the script of this video was ready. Now interpret this inception-level dream that I had in the process of making this video however you want. Whether I dreamed that specifically because I was already in a trance-like state from meditation, just after having to rack my brains coming up with how to form a script for dreams, or it was just a pure coincidence, I don't know. Kidnapping dreams generally are said to indicate stress and the feeling of being trapped in relationships and responsibilities, and infidelity dreams, even if it may not have happened in real life, could indicate a lack of trust, loyalty, or communication in the relationships you may have. And to clarify, in both these instances, when I mention relationships, refers to the general relationships that you have with the people around you, not necessarily just the romantic ones. Then again, it could all just mean utter nonsense. Before all these comic book movies started exploring the multiverse theme that we are seeing so much of these days, I already had this wild theory that maybe dreams don't mean anything, but are in fact just a peek into our multiversal counterparts. That somehow, in our unconscious state, we are able to connect with and peer into the minds of our other selves. It could also explain déjà vu. Maybe it's a false memory because I recalled another version of myself who went through the same situation. Or it's just a glitch in the matrix. I mean, it surely explains why sometimes the storylines of these dreams aligns so well with our own lives, but at the same time can also be so crazy that it is impossible for it to have happened within the scientific laws of our universe. Like how some people dream of flying or have powers in their dreams. Obviously, there is no scientific evidence to prove this wild theory that I have, but it is a fun concept to think about, and the inner child in me remains fascinated that it could potentially be a possibility. Maybe sometimes we shouldn't think so deeply about why we dreamed a certain thing or what it could mean. Unless it's recurring and deeply troubling you, then only would I say it is worth considering diving deeper into. Otherwise, I think we can and should move on with our lives without paying too much attention of whether this was because of my past or because of my possible future. After all, it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. If you'd like me to explore this topic even more, I wouldn't mind doing a personal experiment and keeping a dream journal for the next few weeks or months just to see if there is a trend I can spot. Or maybe even explore lucid dreaming. Let me know if you would want me to do something like that. Also, I'll include some articles that I referenced today in the description down below. Some of them are really interesting reads and go into much further detail than what I explored today. Alright, it's time to enter the dream mode. See you in the next video. Nox.